everyone, today I'm going to read a story. The title of this story is Story of the Sun. Long ago, Korea's young boy lived in a far-off land. To the west, there was a large sea. As each day began, to the east there were mountains. To the west there were a large sea. As each day began, the curious young boy sat and looked to the west, to the east. He watched the sun rise over the mountains. As each day ended, he looked west. He watched the sun sink into the sea. The curious boy's name was Ichiro. Ichiro wondered where the sun came from, and he wondered where it went each night. The harder Ichiro thought, the more confused he became. He wondered how many suns there really are. Would there ever be a time when the new sun would not rise from the east? Ichiro was smart. He knew that the sun brought light. He knew that without the sun, everything would be dark. He also knew that the sun brought warmth. He loved to feel the warm sun on his brown skin. Ichiro worried about a day when the new sun might not rise. He worried about living in a land of darkness. He worried about being cold. Ichiro learned about a wise old woman. He was told she knew the answer for everything, so he decided to visit her. The wise woman lived in a village. The village was near the mountains. It was near where the sun rose each morning. One morning, Ichiro awoke early. He climbed on his giant pet emu and rode swiftly to the east. In a few hours, he entered the village. The wise woman greeted Ichiro warmly. She took him into her hut, and she began to answer his question about the sun. First, she explained where the sun came from. Do you see that large mountain? The one that is towering above all other mountains? She asked, pointing west. Ichiro replied, Yes, I do. In fact, I see the sun rise over that mountain each morning. Well, said the wise woman, that is where the new sun comes from. Each night after the sun sinks into the sea, people from the village go to the mountaintop. They carry large pieces of wood and coal with them. They drop the wood and coal into a large large opening at the top of the mountain, she said. The mountain began to rumble. It rolls and smokes. The wise woman kept telling her story. By morning, the rumbling was very loud. Then suddenly the mountain spit out a giant ball of fire. The ball is spit out with great force. It shot up high into the sky. The fire lights the land below as it drove across the sky. It also hits the land. When the ball of fire reached its highest point, it begins to drop, she continued. In a few hours, it crashed into the sea. The cool water of the sea put out the ball of fire. It is very important that the villagers go to the mountain each night. We must feed the wood, eat wood and coal, she said. As long as we feed the mountain, it will make a new sun each morning. But if ever we fail to do so, there will be no new sun. Then the land will become dark and cold. From that day on, Ichido worried no more. He played happily in the trees. He knew there would always be light and heat as long as the villager took coal and wood to the mountain. Read this sentence. Ichido worried about a day when the new sun might not rise. What does worried mean? I felt good. B felt sad. C felt excited. D felt surprised. I just be. What was Ichido's main problem? He didn't like living in a dark place. He worried that a new sun might not rise one day. He didn't know how to find the wise woman. He was tired of being cold. I just be. Why does Ichido decide to solve his problem? Ask the villager for the answer. Forget about it. Travel to the mountain to find out. Ask the wise old woman. I just did. In the story, why does the sun disappear every day? It goes behind the mountain. Its smoke came from the mountain. It crashed into the sea. The villagers don't feed the mountain. I just see. Why does Ichido write an email to the village? The email is a gift for the woman. Ichido is afraid to go alone. It is too far to walk. The emu knows the way. I just see. What happened after the villager dropped wood and coal into the opening at the top of the mountain? The mountain began to rubble. The sun crashed into the sea. Ichido played in the trees. The wise old woman tells a story. I read this sentence. The mountain began to rubble after the village fed wood and coal. What is the synonym for rubble? sink, roar, smile, rise. I choose B. What would happen if the villager forgot to feed the mountain? The mountain would become very angry. A volcano would erupt from the mountain. The mountain would punish the villager. D. The sun would not rise. I choose D. Where does this story take place? Between mountains and the ocean. In an ocean. In a far-off land. In a village. All of the above. I choose D. When does the story take place? A. Long ago. B. Last week. D. Today. D. In the future. I choose A.
Super! You answered all of the questions correctly.
I got 10 out of 10 correct. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.